It's a continuous cycle of labor, and maybe this is one of the reasons why they cannot access information that they need. You have said that your organization is working on sensitizing women in this respect. What are some of the challenges that you have met when it comes to sensitization?
Actually, in the beginning of the project, we did a time use survey. And I think that is usually very important when it comes to generating evidence for such projects. You know, you say women don't have time and somebody wants to see what are the numbers, what are you talking about?
Right.
Paint for me a picture, what does this woman do from when she wakes up?
Right.
When we were doing the baseline for this project, one of the things we were very interested in knowing is actually how are women managing their time.
All right.
And it is true, these women wear different hats during the day. So as a farmer, this woman is involved in the weeding, is involved in weeding, is involved in plowing, is involved in planting, is involved in harvesting.
Right.
As a mother wife, this woman is involved in running her family. She's in charge of her household nutrition. So she has to look for food. She has to take care of her children. She has to take care of the livestock. I mean, it's like a lot. Right. So when it comes to you know, shaping programs like this that are supporting women, then you just have to be very deliberate. You have to know that this woman, in terms of time use and time allocation, if you set up a meeting, for example, at 8 a.m., this woman will not be able to come.
All right.
Because maybe it is her time to go to the shamba, it's her time to take care of her livestock, her children. So you have to be very deliberate. Even when we're doing our sensitization meetings, we agree with them and we look at what is the appropriate time to actually involve a woman. What we have seen is sometimes what we call public participation. It works for some, but in rural areas, most of the time it doesn't work. Right. What are the timings that have been put, for example, for public participation forums? And are they actually, is it a time that a woman can afford to participate and participate meaningfully in public participation? What is the distance that this woman is traveling to attend a public participation forum, and what does it mean for her? So I find that for us to be able to sensitize women properly and correctly and to ensure that women participate meaningfully in our sensitization meetings, but also in what we call public participation at the county level, in the rural areas, at the chief's place, is to be very deliberate about factoring in some of those things, including time, including distance, and to see what the woman can accommodate and ensure that we are deliberate in that programming to ensure that they participate meaningfully.
All right, which is very essential, especially when it comes to, you know, data gathering, because this data is what is used, especially when policies are being formed. And policy formulation is a very important, you know, it's a key factor in instigating change within the community. When it comes to muzzling of women, you do need them to give you the correct data. You do need them to, you know, engage with you as openly as possible. But of course, there are factors that could muzzle women, like gender-based violence.
Yes.
What are some of the things that, you know, cause some of this muzzling?
One of them, like you have said, is gender-based violence. The other big thing is now climate change, and we have been looking at the nexus between climate change and SGBV. And there is a whole debate and a whole lot of issues that have come up. Climate change in one way or another has also affected women's participation in these processes because of you know, forced migration, increased rates of SGBV. When there is drought or erratic rainfall, we have young girls that are now, you know, being married off because their families are struggling at family level, at household level, to put food on the table. So we have increased rates of FGM. We have increased rates of early marriages because of drought, erratic rainfall. So we can see already what climate change is doing. The other thing that keeps women away from these conversations is just lack of knowledge. If you go to the rural areas and you look at the level of literacy, you will find that we have more men who are literate than the women. And so generally men are more involved in those processes. If a chief, for example, we have something we want to communicate and a chief is calling for the meeting, you will find it's only men who attend those meetings. Either because of that ignorance on the part of the women, because they don't know any better, but also because of cultural attitudes that perceive certain discussions a pertinent issue for men, or a space for men and not for women. And so we have been very deliberate. We are aware of those gaps, and so we have really been working on women and ensuring that we have separate forums for women to ensure that also the voice of women is heard. If you go to gather statistics or data or information from a gathering where only men have attended, for sure you'll not have anything on women. So you also have to understand the different demographics and the different dynamics of every society that we are working in. In Kenya, we are working in 4 counties, and each of those counties have different cultures, different attitudes, different beliefs. But we have been able to identify allies who